Hey guys, how's it going? Today we're going to do the unboxing and overview of the Steam Deck. So this is a device that was long awaited by many people. It was highly anticipated. Valve announced it back last spring, I think, 2021, and a lot of people had a lot of expectations for this device because finally it brought another competitor to the Nintendo Switch, and this is by a big company, right? Not like a small company like GPD and One Netbook. Like those are smaller Chinese companies that have been trying to do something similar, but the problem is those companies are small. They're kind of going for a niche audience. Not many people know about them because they're basically like Kickstarter projects and stuff. And yeah, they were also quite expensive. So this is like the first time we have an actual handheld PC gaming device that's made by a big company like Valve, and it's also fairly affordable. So it starts at $400. Now this is the 512 gigabyte version I pre-ordered for about $650 US, which is a very, very good price for a device with these kind of specs. So I think that's what surprised a lot of people, is that Valve is almost certainly losing money selling these devices, but it's okay because they make so much money off of Steam anyways. Yeah, I think they just wanted to shake up the market, I guess. So yeah, a lot of people were surprised. This thing came out with pretty good specs for the price and in a very portable form factor. So we haven't really seen something like this before. I mean, we have seen, you know, Chinese competitors with the UMPCs and the gaming UMPCs, but like I said, those are for niche audiences. They're mostly Kickstarter projects. They're pretty much very expensive gadgets, right? Like I have the GPD Win 3. I'll be doing a comparison to later in this video. But that's basically very few people really know about those devices, but this is a mass market device, right? So that's pretty impressive. And it basically forces those competitors to lower the price even more, actually. So I think Aya and One Netbook and GPD basically have to be on their tiptoes now, because now Valve is in the game, making a device that has equivalent gaming performance for less money. So yeah, this is basically I got this. And there's no like really fancy box for it. This is basically just it. Did come with another box that had some like warranty information, and also included the charger separately. So this is a charger. Of course, it's a USB-C charger, and that's very convenient, right? It's not like a proprietary barrel charger or anything. So you can just charge it with USB-C, which is what I expect. And it's fairly compact, like it's compact and portable too, so it's not like a huge charger or anything, so that's nice. So yeah, let's get down to it. The first time I'm opening it, actually. So this is the 512 gigabyte version, assembled in China. Man, this does not come off very cleanly, does it? There we go. All right, and the 512 gigabyte version also comes with a carrying case, so it's okay. Also, oh, let's put this at the back. Okay, we get a little pouch. And what is this pouch for? Is this for the charger? That's pretty nice of them if they want to include a pouch just for the charger, but okay. And you can actually fit it in the, there's like a hole under the case, right, where you can like fit this pouch, and I guess you can carry the charger like this, which is cool, I guess. You can fit everything here. So yeah, I guess not super cleanly, but still. All right, so the case is all right. Not like a very, very high quality case or anything, but it's a pretty decent case, right? So it's got this back part. You can put the pouch in, handle. Yeah, pretty decent case. You get this for free if you get the 512 gigabyte version. So let me give you a rundown of the specs. This has a 7-inch IPS touchscreen. That's 1280 by 800, 60 hertz refresh rate. It's not OLED, unfortunately. It's got an AMD Zen 2 CPU, 4 cores with 2.4 gigahertz up to 3.5 gigahertz turbo boost, and an AMD RDNA 2 GPU. I think the AMD chip inside of this device is custom. That's something that Valve developed with AMD, I think. It's got 16 gigs of RAM, and this is the version with the 512 gigabyte SSD. And I think it's PCIe 3, X3 or something. they might have decreased the speed of some of these devices, I think, from what I hear. So some select devices may have the SSD speed decreased. Stereo speakers, headphone jack, dual mics, obviously USB-C and Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. I'm not sure exactly what version of Bluetooth and Wi-Fi it has. Guess I can look that up later. And weighs about 1.5 pounds. All right, so yeah, what a long way we've come since Razer released their Edge Pro back in 2013, right? I remember when I reviewed that device, that was like pretty much one of the first real handheld gaming PCs I've seen, right? Was the Razer Edge Pro. So if you guys don't know, the Razer Edge Pro was released back in 2013. It was basically a gaming tablet, and you can attach optional like gaming controllers onto it. So you have it on the side like this, and you hold it. So it was a pretty interesting concept, but it was a little bit ahead of its time because like the CPU was the Ivy Bridge processor at that time, which Intel hasn't really optimized the power consumption at that time. So this was like the generation before Haswell. Haswell was the generation where Intel optimized the power consumption for mobile chips. So yeah, Ivy Bridge sucked up a lot of power, didn't have a lot of battery life. I would say it's a little bit too ahead of its time. But I had to give props to Razer for that. And I was, the whole time, like after GPD came out with the gaming UMPCs, like the Win and Win 2, Win 3, I have all the Wins, obviously, I've reviewed all of them. And all the other gaming UMPCs that came out from Chinese manufacturers, like the Aya Neo, and the One GX1 Pro, like the whole time I thought, why doesn't Razer get back into the game? Like it will be a perfect time for them to release another gaming handheld like they did before, like all the way back in 2013, right? And I don't know why. I guess Razer just likes to make these cool concepts, and they don't really come back to them. Yeah, I guess now Valve has taken up the mantle and decided to release their handheld. And honestly, it's quite shocking. I don't think anyone expected Valve to release a handheld. Valve, out of all companies, they don't make really gaming peripherals. I mean, they make the Valve Index, but that's for VR. Right, I don't think anyone expected them to make a gaming handheld, right? I mean, we all expected maybe Alienware with their UFO concept. That never happened. Unfortunately, I was waiting for that too. And the Razer, right, to release something, because the Razer came out with their Edge Pro before, all the way back, 2013. That's like almost 10 years ago. So you would think that it would be Razer or Alienware to come up with that as a big company, right, to come up with a gaming handheld to compete with the Switch. But out of all the companies, it was actually Valve, and that's really kind of surprising. So that's like my little spiel about the history of these big PC manufacturers making gaming handhelds. And out of all of them, it's honestly quite surprising that Valve was the one who actually came out with one. So yeah, okay, let's go over it. So yeah, it weighs 1.5 pounds, which means it's about the same heft as an iPad Pro. So it's not too light or anything. So yeah, you won't want to like play this like all day. At the same time, it's not like a laptop or anything like that. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's something that you would want to hold in your hand all day, because 1.5 pounds, you can play it for maybe like an hour or two, but then you're gonna get like, you're gonna get some fatigue. Now the controls are interesting. So there's analog sticks right here, dual analog sticks. They seem pretty decent. Now I have to like actually test this out with some games, but just from the feel of it, seems pretty decent. D-pad here doesn't feel that great. I mean, also like this is another thing that Razer did as well with their Razer Edge Pro that received a lot of criticism, but it's the placement of the D-pad with the analog sticks. So for Razer, the Razer Edge Pro has a vertical. These ones were placed like in a vertical direction from the face buttons and the D-pad, which I guess is not that ergonomic. And Valve, they have these ones on a very direct horizontal direction. So usually when people make gaming controllers, they usually have the face buttons and D-pad in a diagonal direction, because that's the natural directions our thumbs go, right? And kind of direct, I don't know a better word to say it, orthogonal, like diagonal direction, right? Like our thumbs go like naturally like this, right, in a diagonal direction. But yeah, for this one, it's like directly horizontal, is right beside it. So it's a little bit weird because it's not as ergonomic. So like going from here to here is a little bit less ergonomic than going from here to here, right? So that's why most gaming controllers have it in a more ergonomic way. Although I have to say that the GPD Win and the Switch don't really follow this either. I will be comparing those two devices as well. But yeah, the placement of the D-pad and the face buttons is a little bit weird to me. The D-pad doesn't feel really good actually. It feels, yeah, maybe a little bit cheap, but I'll have to see. Face buttons are okay. And then there's, I guess, a switch screen button and a menu icon, it looks like. This is pretty interesting. These touch pads here are very reminiscent of the ones that they had on the Steam controller. So there was a Steam controller that's, I think it's basically not in production anymore. But I did own it for like a year or so. And I used it with a Steam Link, which I used to play games on my TV. And actually the Steam controller was a very interesting concept. Basically, this small little touchpad here acts as the equivalent of a trackpad on a laptop and basically tries to duplicate a mouse. So that's the thing, when you're a PC gaming handheld, you have to account for the fact that a lot of PC games use the mouse. And that's always been very hard to do with an analog stick, because an analog stick doesn't directly replicate the mouse. And that's why some genres like the simulations, RTS, strategy games, those kind of genres are kind of difficult to translate into a console because the controllers, like the analog sticks, don't work as well. That's why like there's some PC only genres, I would say, because they use the mouse so much. So yeah, like I would say if you're playing a game like StarCraft, for example, or Age of Empires, or The Sims, or Civilization, like those games are really hard to translate to console. But yeah, I think that's why they have to have some kind of replacement for the mouse, right? So this is Steam's kind of solution, or Valve's kind of solution for the replacement of the mouse, is to use these mini trackpads. And I'm gonna see how well they actually work. Then we have a Steam button here. I guess this is gonna be using Steam OS, which is gonna be using Steam Big Picture mode, I think. But yeah, basically it's Linux based, I think. So technically you could install Windows on here, and I think some people have tried that, but it's not recommended because of I think some driver issues, and yeah, there's some compatibility issues. So I'm just gonna stick with Steam OS. I'm not gonna try to install Windows on it, although you can. And then there's another author option button here. There's stereo speakers right here. I have to test those out. And then up here, there's the volume buttons right there, headphone jack, and yeah, this is for air grill right there, USB-C charging, and the power button. And you have triggers. You have your shoulder buttons right here. So shoulder triggers, as well as these are your other trigger buttons right here. So yeah, shoulder buttons and trigger buttons. So that'd be left and right. So on a typical gaming controller, you have those. And then on the back, you have extra controllers. You have these little paddle controllers. That's R for R5 and L for L5. So these are extra buttons that are not typically in game controllers, but are on some of the more expensive ones, like the Razer Wolverine that I have. These ones can be probably mapped to other actions, but are usually not required for games like these ones are. Like the typical R1, L1, R2, L2, that's basic. Like most games have those, but these ones are just extra controllers you can map. Usually you find them in high-end controllers. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Made in China, of course, right? As you would expect, every electronics is made in China. Valve, now, yeah. Again, I never expected Valve to be making a gaming handheld, and I don't think anyone really expected it. They really came out of left field. Like everyone probably expected Alienware, Razer, yeah, maybe even the Lenovo, you know, like just never expected Valve because they don't really make PCs. So I think this is the first PC they made, right? They may have had some Steam machines, I think, but those Steam machines I think were made by other manufacturers too, like Alienware. So yeah, I don't think they really made any PCs before. So yeah, it really came out of left field with this device. Steam Deck, and then it comes with a microfiber cleaning cloth. really useful. Clean those. Clean device, and yeah, that's pretty much it for the Steam Deck. Also, just for a size comparison right now, also do a performance comparison, but here is the Steam Deck compared to the GPD Win 3 that I have. Now, I don't have the AN Neo, and I don't have the One GX1 Pro or the One X player. Those, I guess, are more direct competitors as well, which I don't have. But I do have the Win 3 because I think this is the most unique looking gaming UMPC out of the Chinese manufacturers. So you can just see the size difference here. I mean, some people have called the Steam Deck a big Game Gear, like a massive Game Gear. It does kind of look like that, right? But you can see just how big the Steam Deck is. I mean, the Win 3 is like pretty tiny. But actually, the Win 3 is almost the size of just the display alone on the Steam Deck, right? You can fit almost just in the display part. Like, that's how big the Steam Deck is. And compared to the Nintendo Switch OLED, you can see that they have the same size screen. They both have 7-inch displays. The Steam Deck has a lot more bulk, right? And also, this is the ergonomic thing I was talking about too, that the Switch has. So the Switch and the Win 3 both have the analog controls and the D-pad and face buttons, like kind of like in a vertical direction. Is also what the Razer Edge Pro had too, I was talking about. It's not that ergonomic. So yeah, Switch as well, not that ergonomic. Most gaming controllers have it diagonal, right? That's very natural for the thumb, but both of these two are not ergonomic either. So yeah, this is a size comparison. I mean, just look how thick it is, the Steam Deck. You see how much thinner the Nintendo Switch. And actually, we're gonna compare the Win 3 is pretty thick too. So you gotta remember with these PC gaming devices, they're all pretty thick. Whereas the Nintendo Switch, I guess because it's hardware that's pretty optimized to what it plays. I mean, it doesn't play PC games, right? It has to play the proprietary cartridges. That's why I can afford to be a bit slimmer. It doesn't have to run the PC hardware. So yeah, you can see how thin the Switch is compared to the Win 3 and the Steam Deck. Also, there's a micro SD card slot at the bottom here of the Steam Deck. So got to mention that micro SD card slot. So of course you can fit more games inside here, in addition to the 512 gigabyte you have built in. Yeah, you have expandable storage, which is nice. But yeah, that's a size comparison. Obviously, the Steam Deck is a massive behemoth compared to the Nintendo Switch, which is a lot thinner, also lighter as well. The display-wise, right, the Switch has an OLED display, so I don't expect the Steam Deck to be as good as the Switch display. The controls, I guess I'll have to test out later. On first glance, I would say that the Switch has better controls. Feels more firmer than the Steam Deck, but again, I'll have to test this out with some games. But my first impression is that the Switch has more firmer controls. Now, compared to the Win 3, Win 3 is obviously a lot smaller as well. And also the Win 3 has a keyboard, which is something that the AN Neo and the One X player and the Steam Deck and the Switch, all of them do not have a keyboard. That's something special about the Win 3 actually. So it has a keyboard that's optional. And yeah, buttons on the Win 3 also, I would say, also feel a little bit more firmer than the ones on the Steam Deck. But anyways, that's just from my first impression of using them here. I'll have to test it out with some games. But yeah, that's the size comparison. You can also get from here all three devices: Steam Deck, Nintendo Switch, and GPD Win 3. All right, so yeah, guys, I'm gonna go on to the gaming performance, and we'll see how it holds up versus the Win 3. I'm not gonna compare it directly to the Switch because, like I said, the Switch does not run PC hardware, so it's really hard to do a direct comparison to it. It's got its own proprietary thing. It's got its own games, its own hardware. So I think the better comparison is the Win 3 versus the Steam Deck. And like I said, I don't have the One X player or the AN Neo. Those would be nice comparisons as well. But yeah, this is probably the best direct competitor that I have on hand right now. All right, so now I have the Steam Deck up and running. You can see that it's running SteamOS, and this is what SteamOS looks like. It's basically pretty similar to Big Picture mode, if you've ever used Big Picture mode on Steam before. So yeah, this is a bunch of games that's on actually in my library right now that has been marked great on deck. And there's certain Steam games. Now, not all Steam games work perfectly on the deck, but there are certain games that are marked as playable or works great on deck. And I guess this is has been sorted according to that. So there's probably like a tag or filter on each of these games that maybe people have played before and they marked, oh, it works, it's playable on deck or it works well on deck. And they marked it, and it gets sorted here. So these are the games that have been confirmed as or approved as working or working at a decent level on deck. And then you can just go to all games, which include games that maybe have not been tested or don't work as well on deck. And yeah, you can go through the installed ones. This, the games I currently have installed, I will show you guys. And collections, these are my different playlists basically for games. I have a whole bunch of Steam games. I have over 800 Steam games, so you can see how many I have here. Yeah, so all of my different categories here. And yeah, that is pretty much it. Steam OS, press the Steam button, it brings up the sidebar menu, so you can look at the library. Home is right here, and basically it's your typical Steam home experience. So yeah, just all your updates and stuff on Steam is there. And then you guys saw library already. Friends and chat, this brings up your Steam friends. We can chat with media. Now, yeah, you can capture screenshots and show them on there. Downloads, right? All the games I downloaded. And for some reason, I can't access settings or store. I'm not really sure why, but store and settings are not, yeah, I don't know why they're grayed out. I don't know why I can't access them. And then this little button here brings up the context menu, and yeah, I can see there's actually a shortcut menu maybe. I can see like notifications, I can see my friends, quick settings, I guess. There's even an airplane mode here, which is kind of funny. Night mode, game mode, Steam haptics, performance. Yeah, and for some reason, it's a weird thing. I can't see my storage. I want to see how much is left in my storage, but I think that's in settings, and I can't access settings right now for some reason. I'm not really sure why. Yeah, this is kind of your quick access menu, I guess. It's a quick access menu. And then this one is the context. Yeah, so this one, you can just, basically it's the same as right-clicking on a game on Steam. You can do play, add to favorites, add to a playlist, move on playlist. You can uninstall a game, properties, right? So basically, if you press this button here, that's the context menu. So this one is actually a quick access menu. And then this one, I think is switching between when you're inside a game. So I have to test that out later. Of course, volume right here. Let's put it up to full so you guys can really hear how the speakers are like. Okay, I can compare it to my Switch actually, because the Nintendo Switch OLED actually has some pretty decent speakers on it. I'm sure this should have better speakers than the Win 3, because the Win 3 really doesn't have great speakers. I think it's just a mono speaker on that. But yeah, let's go ahead and play some games. And yeah, we're gonna go to installed. Okay, Death Stranding, let's do it. Okay. All right, so I got Death Stranding. Actually, let's see. Oh, I gotta use the D-pad here. Looks like the analog doesn't work here. Okay, continue. All right, so yep, the controls definitely work in this game. Whoa. You can do the quick access menu here, and then go to performance and performance overlay level. I can set this one up. This is a touch screen, by the way, so of course you can use this as well. And then this is where you can put the performance indicators. Okay, so yeah, I can go all the way up to full here. Of course, that's too much information, so maybe I'll just this is just, it will tell you how much GPU, CPU, and battery level it's using. But I was just going to go to the basic one level because I just want to see the frame rate. So yeah, so Death Stranding in game looks like it's running at about 45 FPS, which is not bad. I mean, this is for a handheld device, and this game is pretty graphically demanding. That's fairly impressive. Oh. Okay, I'm definitely dying here. I'm not very good at this game, and because this game is something you really need to get into a lot. Like, you really need to focus on it. Not something you can easily just do for a review. Oh shit. Oh shit. Okay. Oh. Gotta get out of here. Okay. Holy crap. Things are nasty, these creatures. Oh my god. Oh no. Yeah. Definitely not a game you can just like sit down and relax with, that's for sure. It really keeps you on your toes. Oh. Okay, I escaped. Oh man. Oh my god. So yeah, Death Stranding runs fairly well in this game, I would say. Not 60 FPS, but 45 to 50 FPS, which is definitely not bad. I mean, considering the graphics level of this game, right? So yeah, definitely. I think it's actually pretty impressive. What's also cool about this is that you can just click this, and then actually you can tell there's controller settings, right, just for this game for the Steam Deck. So you can see there's enter compass mode, left hand, cargo, perform action, photo mode. So there's our controls specific to the Steam Deck, which is really kind of cool. So yeah, this is like Steam Deck specific controls. All right, so next up we have Doom Eternal. All right, let's just do some combat here. So there's some action on the screen. It still maintains 60 FPS. Which is very, very impressive. You see that still maintains 60 FPS. So.
I have located the pre-signal. I will mark it on your HUD.
All right, and also I realized this is actually the start button, basically the equivalent of a start button on a controller, and this is actually the select button on a controller. So yeah, even though it looks like it's switching between apps and stuff, that's what I thought it did. It's actually a select button. So yeah, basically that's what it functions as inside a game. So yeah, you have basically start and select here, which is, yeah, I guess what you would expect a controller should have. And then you have these unmap buttons at the back, which you could map to something else. But yeah, even when there's action, there's 60 FPS, which is honestly pretty impressive, you know. Yep, even frantic action on the screen, still 60 FPS. Maintains it. Oh, it doesn't die. Alright. Anyways, yeah, that's Doom Eternal. And pretty impressive that the Steam Deck runs it at a full 60 FPS, even in heavy combat. Next up, we have Elden Ring. This is a game I actually played a lot of, and I almost beat it. But yeah, I'm really curious to see how this performs on the Steam Deck. Alright. Runs at 40-ish FPS right now. Alright. Now let's see. Whoops. I want fast travel. That's what I want to do. Yep, let's see if we can fast travel somewhere. Let's go to Lernia. Alright. So yeah, even though this SSD is supposedly downgraded, it still loads reasonably fast. Okay, 30 FPS right now in Lernia. So a lot of stuff going on here in Lernia. So it looks like it's pretty barely playable. I mean, it is because, I mean, 30 FPS is still playable, just not super playable, but just barely playable. Still though, I'm glad that it maintains at least 30 FPS, because this game came out just a few months ago. It's a pretty recent game. And the graphics in this game are really nice. I mean, you gotta remember this is a 720p screen, so you should expect it to perform fairly well. But still, I mean, this being a portable device is still pretty impressive, because Elden Ring is a really nice looking game. And yeah, let's find something to fight. Oh, here we go. This giant lobster thing. Yeah. Ooh. Okay, so back buttons actually are not work now. Oh my god. Oh my god, these lobsters with these missiles. Yeah. Jeez, man. Give me some time to heal. Give me any time to heal. Oh, oh my god. What? Oh no! Shit. Oh, come on. Oh, these enemies in this game are relentless. Give me some time. Oh, I'm dead. Oh, no. I didn't get a chance to fight really, but anyways, I think it's playable, just barely, right? Which is still, I guess, pretty impressive because Elden Ring's a really nice graphical looking game. Yeah. Yeah, that lobster may have been too much for me. Steed here. Yep, 30 FPS, holding pretty steady. I mean, it's dipping a little bit below, but holds reasonably steady. Okay, let's try this Lovecraftian looking monster thing. Might be a little bit easier to kill. There we go. Look at that. Okay. Alright, so yeah, Elden Ring. Barely playable, but still playable, which is a good thing. I mean, you can still play Elden Ring just at a slower frame rate than you would normally get on desktop, but it's definitely not unplayable. So yeah, that's Elden Ring on Steam Deck. Alright, so now let's try Horizon Zero Dawn. This is another very graphically intensive game. Yeah, very curious to see how this game runs too.
Some kind of cave?
Alright, so this game runs about, right now it's getting about 40. Not much action on the screen right now, but it's getting around 40 FPS right now. Looks really nice.
Looks tight, but I can get through. This must be a ruin of the metal world. One of the old places.
Yeah, graphics look really nice. Still running in the
Ross
40s.
said never go in places like this. But I have to find a way out.
Speakers, by the way, I think are pretty decent. Now, they're not going to be like the best speakers you ever heard in a device, but I mean, for what it is, like considering that, you know, Valve isn't a company known for audio, and you know they have to fit this into a handheld, a gaming handheld that's already pretty powerful.
There's something up ahead.
And this is full volume. Speakers actually not too bad. I would say actually they're a little bit better than the Switch speakers even. Yeah, the OLED Switch speakers are actually pretty good.
What's that?
So I think they're probably on par with the OLED Switch speakers, or maybe even a little bit better. So that's actually pretty impressive, given you know, it's Valve's kind of like first gaming handheld. So
How does it do this?
nice. Find a way out. Oh, here we go.
A metal
Okay,
door.
back buttons do something.
Closed. Maybe this device I found can help. More lights.
Oh, I need to
Shape.
change that.
It's connected to the door somehow. The door changed color too. It didn't.
All right, yeah. So let's stop here. But this is Horizon Zero Dawn, and it's a pretty impressive game to be running on the Steam Deck. And now I'm getting 40s, sometimes even 50 FPS. So that's pretty impressive, because this is definitely one of the best looking games of its time. So yeah, that's Horizon Zero Dawn running on the Switch pretty well actually. Nice. And of course, you know, all the buttons. This is a select button, everything. So that would work as you expect. So it's pretty cool. Now let's try a new game that just came out a few days ago. This is Stray. And yeah, this game is, well, it's not too graphically intensive, but the graphics definitely are pretty good. They're definitely not bad. So yeah, I like playing this game. It's a pretty unique game. You play as a cat in kind of a post-apocalyptic environment. So let's see how this holds up. And it literally, yeah, it just came out a few days ago. All right, so okay, runs at about what, 50 FPS right now. It's pretty impressive. All right, so Stray, let's see. Can launch my little robot thing, robot friend. Zoom. Meow. Okay, scratch this. Let's see if we can get back outside there. I came in through the window, right? Okay. Yeah, there we go. Ooh. So yeah, consistently getting about 40-50 FPS in Stray. Again, not too much of a graphically intensive game, but definitely the graphics are pretty good still. So, and it's a pretty recent game. And yeah, it's just fun playing as a cat. Anyways, yeah, that's Stray running on the Steam Deck. So, another fun game to try out. Alright, lastly, I want to try out God of War. This port came out pretty recently, like 2 years ago, I think. So yeah, I know this game originally came out 2018, but the port is more recent, and this is actually a pretty graphically intensive game too. So yeah, let's go with this. Let's see how it runs on the deck. Alright, so everything's set to high graphics right now, and it's running at about 35 FPS right now. So yeah, this is a menu I can check my stats, my skill level, everything, which I think the select button also does. Yeah, same thing. So yeah, high settings, 35 FPS. Remember, this is 720.
Tied to the boat?
Yeah, because God of War is a fairly graphically intensive game as well. So yeah.
Boy. That is enough.
Yep. So yeah, probably mid-30s.
Father,
That's what I'm getting right now.
did something change? The forest feels different.
Everything is different, boy. Try not to dwell on it.
Yes, sir.
Oh, dipping into the 20s a little bit. Okay, yep, back to mid-30s.
That was the last. Me.
Then we leave for the mountain?
Depends on you. Hunt. What did you find?
Tracks. Not deer, though. I'll keep looking.
Yep, getting about 30 FPS right now.
More tracks?
Yeah. But they're too round. Could be a wild boar.
Good.
Oh! Now what?
This way, boy.
Hup. Oh. Wait, deer tracks. They're fresh. This way. Found it!
Slow down, boy.
Sorry.
You're hunting deer, not chasing it.
Yes, Father.
Right, so yeah, God of War, get about 30
How are we
to
gonna get
35
across?
FPS, I'd say.
Step aside.
So yeah, equip the axe. There we go. And
Wow.
Go.
Oh. What happened here? There it is!
Hold. What are you doing? Now his guard is up. Only fire. Only fire. When I tell you to fire.
I'm sorry.
Do not be sorry. Be better. Find it. Find it.
alright, yeah, so just stop here, but God of War seems to be running pretty well. I mean,
My bow!
No! You are not ready. Stay back.
okay. Alright, so yeah, the frame rate seems to hold steady at around 30 to 35 FPS in God of War, even during action sequences. So that's pretty nice, actually. It's playable. It's not like it's going to be super high frame rates or anything. So yeah, just don't expect too much. But I would say at least it's fairly playable. So yeah, that's God of War running on the Steam Deck. Not bad. So just for comparison, I'm also running God of War on the GPD Win 3. So keep in mind, this is a 6-inch display. It's a little bit smaller, but the resolution is the same. It's also 720p. And the GPU is different. Instead of the custom AMD GPU that the Steam Deck has, this is running the Intel Iris GPU. So it has 1165 G7 in it. So it's running an Intel Iris integrated GPU on here. Well, I think they're both integrated, but I think the AMD might be slightly better. Although let's take a look at the performance and see how they compare. Alright, so I'm getting about high 20s, looks like. So it's definitely not as smooth as the Steam Deck. Steam Deck, I think I was getting mid 30s, right? Oh, I guess I'm getting mid 30s now. So, okay, let's play a little bit more and see. And now I'm getting mid 30s. Interesting. Graphic settings are the same. It's 720p high settings.
That is enough.
I have to say that the controls on the Win 3 are a little bit more stiff than on the ones on the deck, actually. And yeah, I might prefer the analog sticks on the deck a little bit more.
Father,
What?
did something change? The forest feels different.
Everything is different, boy.
Oh, I think it slows down here a lot.
Yes, sir.
Okay, getting mid-20s right now. I'd say the performance on average doesn't seem to be as high as on the Steam Deck. Because I think on the Steam Deck I can consistently get 30 to 35, but here I'm just getting 25 FPS. I mean, it looks like it could go up to like mid-30s, but it doesn't do that all that often. So overall, I think the Steam Deck has better performance by a few frames per second over the Win 3 here. Alright, so now it's running still at about in the high 20s. So we don't usually see the frame rates go past 30 that much.
What did you find?
Tracks. Not deer, though.
And I have to say the speakers are not as good as the Steam Deck. So yeah, definitely the Steam Deck has better speakers than the Win 3. That's a pretty low bar. I mean, they're both stereo speakers actually. The Win 3 does have stereo speakers in the bottom,
More
but
tracks?
no, the Steam Deck does have better
But
speakers.
they're too round. Could be a wild boar.
Good.
Oh! Now what?
This way, boy.
Hup! Oh,
That
Wait,
menu should
dude.
all be working. Yep. All works as expected.
tracks. They're fresh. This way. Huh? Ah! Found it!
Slow down, boy.
Sorry.
You're hunting deer, not chasing it.
Yes, Father.
Definitely some lag sometimes.
You broke our bridge.
Some slowdown sometimes.
How are we gonna get across?
Step aside.
Oops.
Wow.
Go.
Oh. Here. There it is.
Hold. What are you doing? Now its guard is up. Only fire. Only fire. When I tell you to fire.
I'm sorry.
Do not be sorry. Be better. Find it. Find it.
The monsters. Okay. Let's see what happens in
You're
combat.
not ready. Stay back.
Ooh. Look at that, it's dipping below 20 sometimes. That's not good. Yeah, it's not good. Sometimes it's dipping into the below 20s. Alright.
Draugr. They've never come this close to our woods before.
So yeah, during combat, it actually dips into below, like the teens sometimes, right? It dips below 20. You saw that 18, 19 FPS sometimes. In the low 20s, basically. That's what happened during combat. And yep, I can definitely say that the Steam Deck has better performance than the Win 3 in general, right? We saw the Steam Deck kind of maintain 30 to 35 FPS even during combat, whereas on the Win 3, we saw the frame rates dip, you know, into the low 20s and sometimes even into the high teens, right? So I think definitely the Steam Deck performs better than the Win 3 does. So yeah, and that's you got to take into consideration the Win 3 was more expensive too. Although we have to also acknowledge that the Win 3 is running full on Windows, not just SteamOS, out of the box, that is. So anyways, that's God of War running on the Win 3. Definitely not as performant as on the Steam Deck in general. I mean, it can get to 30, as you can see now, but once you get into the combat heavy sequences, or you have like a lot of objects on the screen, it generally dips to the mid 20s or low 20s, which is not very playable. Whereas on Steam Deck, you can easily get 30, 35 on most of the sequences in the game, even during combat. So yeah, the Steam Deck definitely more performant than the Win 3 so far. Well, there you have it, guys. I did a demo of the Steam Deck, played some AAA titles on it. Overall, I have to say I'm fairly impressed with it. The fact that I was able to hold above 30 FPS on pretty much all the titles I played, and they're pretty high demanding titles. Now, I didn't play Cyberpunk 2077 because I think that one might be a little bit too much, but pretty much every other game, I haven't tried Red Dead Redemption 2, but I'm sure that will run fairly okay on the deck as well, since it ran Elden Ring actually. So yeah, like the fact that it's able to run like God of War, Elden Ring, like that's pretty impressive. Horizon Zero Dawn, like those are all fairly demanding games. So yeah, I'm pretty impressed with it, given the price as well, and given the fact that this is Valve's first gaming handheld. And also compared one of the games, God of War, to the Win 3 as well, and it performed better than the Win 3, even though the Win 3 cost almost double the price actually. So that's pretty impressive. So yeah, the comparison between these three guys, the Nintendo Switch OLED is the cheapest out of all these and have the best display probably because it's a 7-inch OLED display. So yeah, if you really care about the display and the price, then the Switch is probably the way to go. However, the Switch can only play Switch games, right? So the library isn't as quite as big as the Steam library. And you gotta buy, you know, the cartridges for a Switch, which on average are more expensive than games on Steam, since Steam games are often on sale. However, the Switch is just unique in itself, right? I mean, you can detach the controllers, right? You can play with your friends. So you have Nintendo games, which you can't find anywhere else. And yeah, the display and everything is probably the best on it. The speakers, I'd say that the OLED Switch and the Steam Deck have the best speakers. The Win 3, a distant second to those. But yeah, I think the Switch is pretty nice. It's really easy for people to play games on the Switch without having to fiddle around with anything. They don't have to set anything up. It's just you put in a cartridge, you can play, and you have fairly diverse selection of titles on the go. So I think the Switch OLED is probably still the one I recommend for most people. Okay, now you put that aside, you're going to compare the Win 3 and the Steam Deck. These two run PC games, right? So that's what makes these two unique from the Switch. Out of these two, obviously the Steam Deck, I think, is a better value. I mean, it's cheaper, starts at $400, even $650 with this 512 gigabyte version is still a pretty good price, especially considering the hardware is better than that on the Win 3. The Win 3 actually cost me $1,000 when it first launched, and yeah, I mean, it's more expensive, and also the hardware isn't as up to snuff. I mean, it runs 1165 G7 with an Intel Iris graphics, but it doesn't match up to the custom AMD CPU and GPU that the Steam Deck is running. So yeah, I mean, overall, I think the Steam Deck is a better value. I do have to say that the Win 3, the advantages it might have over the deck is that it runs Windows out of the box. You don't have to custom install Windows like you would have to do that. You would have to kind of custom install it on the deck. Plus, it has a built-in keyboard, which is something that neither the Switch or the Steam Deck has. So if the keyboard is important to you, you can actually use this as a normal PC. So you can actually go on the internet, watch YouTube videos and stuff like that. It's not that easy to do on these other devices. So that's the advantage and benefit of the Win 3. It runs a full-blown operating system. But I do have to say that GPD's quality control is not very good. I say this as an owner of a lot of different GPD devices. I've owned the Win 1, Win 2, and Win 3, as well as the GPD Pocket 1, Pocket 2, and Pocket 3, and as well as the Micro PC. Pretty much I've owned every GPD device before. The problem with GPD is that the quality control is not that good. So I've had lots of issues with GPD devices. So yeah, I made a video about how I had to fix the display on the Win 2. I had to replace the ribbon cable for the display because the display just died. The ribbon cable wasn't in a good location and it was prone to failure. And a lot of people had that issue. Micro PC, the battery is prone to failure, right? You can look online for that as well. So I had to replace the battery on the micro PC. Now on the Win 3, you have another problem. So if you look online, there's a lot of Win 3 problems too, and I ran into several of these. First of all, the fingerprint reader stopped working. Just one day just stopped working. Sometimes the keyboard doesn't work. I'm not sure why, but sometimes it doesn't work. Most of the time it does, but sometimes it just randomly stops working. The most problematic issue with the Win 3, and you can search for this online, it's a pretty prevalent issue, is that the controller and mouse keyboard switch here, it's very faulty. So the hardware and software for the switch isn't implemented very well. So apparently what happens is when the Win 3 goes to sleep, sometimes the switch doesn't work anymore. And if it doesn't work anymore, then pretty much you can't really play any games, right? So, I mean, you can still use the keyboard, but the mouse doesn't work if you have it in mouse mode, and then the gamepad doesn't work if you have it in the gamepad mode. Like, it just stops working when the Win 3 goes to sleep sometimes. So, in order to fix it, I think some people just do a restart, but in my case, the restart didn't work either. Some people actually had to open up the back of the Win 3 and do some stuff there, although it's really hard to open it because of the screws are so recessed. So I couldn't really open it either. My fix, eventually how I fixed it, and I'll turn it back to mouse and keyboard mode. So it works right now, but it took me a while to fix it. And I had to search online for a lot of different fixes. What I had to do eventually was do a restart into the BIOS, which means you actually had to go into your settings and do some advanced restart option to force it to restart into the BIOS and then restart from there. You can't just do a normal restart. You got to restart from the BIOS. And then you got to go into device manager and it'll say something like USB device descriptor failed or something like that. That's for the controller. So it says, oh, it failed. It doesn't recognize it. You have to disable that in the device manager, then re-enable it. And then you got to prevent the Win 3 from going back into sleep. So you got to fool around with the power plan and the settings of the power off button. So yeah, the power off button, I have it set to hibernate instead of sleep. Because apparently, yeah, whenever it sleeps, this problem just reoccurs. So yeah, I have to change all the sleep settings to be hibernate instead. And if I want to turn this thing off, I have to, shut it down instead of sleeping. So you just have to prevent this thing from sleeping. So yeah, all these issues with the Win 3, that's another problem I have with GPD. It's like all their devices have issues, including this one. So yeah, and that's in addition to the fact that this is more expensive than the deck. Yeah, I think overall the Win 3 is not really worth it. I have it as kind of like a collector's piece because I really love the Sony Vaio UX design, and this is a really unique PC. The way they designed it, there's no other PC like it, right? The One Netbook doesn't make anything like it. The Aya Neo, right? That's another competitor, doesn't make anything like this. So the GPD Win 3 is definitely the most unique out of all these UMPC gaming PCs. But yeah, I just wish that GPD would work on the quality control more. I had to fix so many of their devices. But yeah, overall, I think the Win 3 is just for basically hardcore collectors like me. It won't really appeal to most other people. All these devices have touch screens, of course, right? So that's about equal there. The speakers on the Win 3 are probably the worst out of all of them. Control-wise, I'd say the Switch is still probably the best. The Switch has really nice controls. I mean, it's really snappy. None of them are ergonomic or anything, but I think the Switch definitely has the most snappy controls. Just feels really tactile. And then the deck probably after that, and the Win 3 probably has the worst controls out of the three. That's not to say that they're terrible. I mean, the Win 2 probably has worse controls than the Win 3 does. But yeah, compared to these other two, oh, look at that, it's frozen. Compared to these other two, yeah, the controls on the Win 3 aren't as good. So, and yeah, if you have the Steam Deck, really no reason to buy the Win 3. It's more expensive, it's faulty, it's got, issues with it. Yeah, I mean, it is smaller, yes. It's smaller, more portable, lighter, it has a keyboard. That's the things it has going for it. But if you're gonna buy like a handheld for gaming, then the Steam Deck is probably the way to go. I mean, this thing is impressive. I mean, for the price to get something running, like most of the AAA games running on here in a playable state is pretty impressive. Now, not all the games work, but I can't say, you know, for all the other PCs, the same thing. Not all the games work either, right? So yeah, but I would say for like most of these games, it works fine. Yeah, has pretty good speakers. The controls are pretty good. I would still take Nintendo controllers, but I think this is a pretty good first effort by Valve. I think, well, I mean, they made the Steam controller before and the Valve Index, but yeah, I would say the controllers are not bad. And yeah, in addition, it has a micro SD card slot in addition to the built-in stuff, so that's also good. I mean, yeah, the Win 3 has that as well, but it's nice to have expandable storage, and it has these really unique touchpads, right? This one's actually haptic, so they're haptic touchpads. This gives you another controller input to mimic a mouse, so that's really cool as well. Yeah, they all have a touchscreen, so that's cool there. They all have a headphone jack, so nothing missing there either. So the deck has the extra paddle buttons on the back. That's something that the Switch and the Win 3 do not have. So the deck actually has more hardware buttons. So there's another thing. And yeah, I'd say for the price, the Switch is just something by itself because it's not a PC. But in terms of actually playing PC games on the go, yeah, there's nothing better than the Steam Deck right now. Also, the display on the Steam Deck, 7-inch IPS, it's a really nice looking display. I mean, I have to say it's better than the one on the Win 3 as well. So this display, even though it's not OLED, is yeah, it's a better display than on the Win 3, the AI Neo, the One GX1 Pro, all the Chinese UMPCs I've seen. This one has a better display than those, so it's pretty impressive as well. So yeah, overall, I do recommend the Steam Deck. I think if you're looking for a way to play PC games on the go, this is the one to get. I mean, the price is really reasonable for the hardware that you get, and the fact that it runs all these games fairly flawlessly in my experience. And yeah, the hardware and everything is pretty nice. So yeah, I really don't have too many complaints about the Steam Deck other than that it's fairly hefty. I mean, the size of it's big, so you're not going to put it in your pocket or anything, but you definitely can fit it in a backpack. So that's more than what I can say for, like, for example, an Alienware gaming laptop, right? That's going to be a little bit harder to fit in your backpack. You can, but it's not going to be something you can exactly take out on a train or on a plane. You know, on a bus ride or something like that, you can't just take out an Alienware gaming laptop or a Razer Blade. You can't just take those things out and start gaming, right? But the Steam Deck you can. So that's a difference, right? You can actually use this on a bus or subway or a plane. So that's really cool. Also, battery life. None of these have really good battery life, but the Switch probably has the best one. For battery life, the Switch is optimized. For these two, they're not, you know, they're not optimized for playing like heavy-duty PC games the same way the Switch is optimized for Switch games. So the battery life on both of these are not very good. You're going to get maybe like 3, 4, 5 hours max. So I wouldn't expect too much from battery life out of these, but that's just par for the course. I mean, you're talking about a gaming handheld that plays Death Stranding, Doom Eternal, NBA 2K20. I mean, yeah, God of War, Elden Ring. I mean, yeah, of course you're not going to have much battery life, right? Even if with a 720p panel, that's just something you have to deal with until, well, until they increase the battery capacity or they optimize it more. So we'll see. Anyways, guys, the Steam Deck. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I highly recommend it. I think, yeah, this is the gaming PC the gaming handheld PC we've all been waiting for. So let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about the Steam Deck. I guess the only thing is that it doesn't run Windows out of the box. If you guys really want to run Windows, I would say this is not the device to run Windows on. I mean, do you really want to do a, you know, what do you want to do with this? Do you want to like go on Chrome and then like go on Facebook using this, go on YouTube, or, you know, write stuff on Microsoft Word or use an Excel spreadsheet? This is not the device for that, right? So I don't know why you would want to put Windows on it, but yeah, I think for what it is, if you just want to play your Steam games on it, this is the best thing, right? Yeah, and I guess if you have games on Origin or Epic, or a Battle.net, then that's maybe a reason to get Windows. But yeah, other than that, I can't really think of a good reason why you would want to have Windows on this thing. So yeah, guys, if you really want to do some PC gaming on the go, and you want to play some heavy titles or light titles, then I think that the Steam Deck is the way to go. Unless, of course, like I said, you really care about having Windows on the machine, or if you really need a keyboard, or if the size of the Steam Deck is a really huge issue, then that's where the Win 3 would come in. But in most cases, I think people would prefer the deck. So that's it, guys. Let me know if you guys have any questions or comments about this video or about the deck or Win 3. And as always, thanks for watching.